Hey there, it's Khalfani-Cox. I'm the co-founder of AskTheMoneyCoach.com. One of my readers wanted to know where he could find subprime lenders. Now, first I want to tell you what a subprime lender is and what they do. A subprime lender is typically any institution, a bank, a credit union, it could be a peer-to-peer lender that is willing to give money, borrowed funds of course, to those who have, say, less than stellar credit. Now, back in the mid 2000s, right before we had the run up in the real estate market and people sort of lost their mind and started borrowing all kind of money for homes and investment properties, and banks equally lost their mind and started lending money to pretty much anybody with a pulse. Back then, someone who was in the subprime lending category was definitely someone who had, say, a 620 or lower FICO credit score, maybe even a 600 or lower FICO credit score. These days, though, lending standards have increased. And so banks really want to see people who have 700 plus FICO credit scores in order to get the best loan rates and terms. In fact, some of them want you to have perfect credit to be in the 760 to 850 credit score range in order to give you the optimal loan rates and terms. Now, remember, your FICO credit score can range between 300 and 850 points. The higher your credit score, the better off you're doing. So let's talk about if you are, say, even 650 or below now, you might be considered a so-called subprime candidate, maybe even 660 or so. Certainly anything at all in the lower 600s, anything, of course, in the 500s or lower in terms of your FICO credit score, you're going to need to go to a subprime lender. There's all kinds of subprime lenders out there. It depends on the bank's or the institution's appetite for risk and to whom they're willing to extend credit. If you're seeking, for example, a subprime lender for credit cards, you might check out a couple sites. One of them is cardratings.com. Credit.com is another good site. Both of them will help you to find credit cards in particular based on your own individual circumstances. So if you know your credit is not really pristine, you do want to shop around and try to find some of those lenders. Remember, they're not all going to say, here I am, I'm a subprime lender. They may say less than perfect credit, bad credit, blemishes, need to build credit, things of that nature. And that gives you an indication that they're willing to lend to subprime customers. On the mortgage front as well, subprime lenders exist in this category too. Again, you want to shop around and do some of your homework. There's sites out there that'll help you to find some of them. A couple good ones, bankrate.com is one that I'd recommend. I mentioned peer-to-peer lending as well. Believe it or not, a lot of peer-to-peer lenders will give you funds up to, say, $20,000, $25,000, some even $50,000. And some of you who might want funds for the mortgage may not be to pay the mortgage or to purchase a home, but maybe you're trying to do home improvements or something like that. So you might consider peer-to-peer lenders. Now, just Google the term and you'll come across a number of them. Remember though, of course, the worse your credit, the higher your interest rate is going to be, generally speaking. But don't think for a minute that just because your credit isn't, perfect shape and you don't have A credit, that it's impossible to get a loan. Do check out your lenders. Make sure that you're not being price gouged. You certainly don't want to feel like you're being unfairly penalized because of your credit record. But if you really do need the loan and you need the credit, go out there and try to find it. Loans are available to people across every spectrum of the credit rating. This has been Khalfani-Cox of AskTheMoneyCoach.com.